In the vast sea of mediocre and bad AAA games, there are very few games that really stick around in people's memory. But I would argue that the ones that do stick around, most of them are not even AAA games. In fact, they would be quite the opposite. Indie games. But how does one stick around in the equally as vast sea that is indie games, when anyone with a personal Unity license can asset flip some free models and upload it onto Steam as an early access game? And the answer is really quite simple. Relatability. When the player can relate to a character, the story, the music, the gameplay, the glitches even, it boosts the game's popularity due to that relatable aspect in it. And this doesn't even apply to just video games, movies, music. Even one of the main reasons TikTok became so popular is due to the relatable aspect of it. So that's why I believe that the game Celeste struck such a big chord with audiences. The game presents a struggle that we've all gone through in some form or fashion. But before I can even continue to talk about Celeste, I'm sure some of you are going,
"Hey yo, Jayme! What is a Celeste?"
Celeste is a difficult precision platformer developed by Maddie Thorson and Noel Berry that was originally made for a game jam in 2016 using the Pico 8 game engine. And then, due to the massively positive reception of the Pico 8 version, Thorson and Berry decided to begin development on a full release of the game, along with the rest of a team they formed called Extremely OK Games, featuring over 200 screens for the players to go through, and later another 100 as part of a free DLC chapter called Farewell. Just like the original Pico 8 version, the game received overwhelming praise, receiving multiple awards and having a 97% positive review score on Steam, placing it as the 33rd highest rated game on Steam. Which, for context, that's above Hotline Miami, Resident Evil 2 Remake, and even Undertale. And basically, that's the general rundown of what Celeste is, what you'd see in the first paragraph of a Wikipedia page. But now, I'm sure I'm gonna have some of you saying,
"Jayme, I don't know what the fuck a Pico 8 is. Just tell me this goddamn mountain game has a good story."
Now, before I talk about the story, I must say, spoilers ahead. I highly recommend playing this game if you haven't already before I continue on. But hey, you do you, I'm not your mom. Originally, I was going to talk about the story and the gameplay separately, but as I was writing the script for this video, I realized that doing that kinda ruins some of the charm the game has. As in Celeste, the main goal is to get to the top of the mountain, and as we get higher in the mountain, more bits of the story come out, and new characters, discoveries, and gameplay features also happen, tying them all together. But I digress. The game opens up with our player character Madeline getting off a bus at the bottom of Celeste Mountain. Before we control her, we get a small dialogue where she tells herself to just breathe. Why are you so nervous? We then get control of Madeline and are introduced to her core gameplay mechanics. Of course, we have a walk and a jump, and we can also grab onto walls to climb up them for a short duration. After what's basically the tutorial section of the game, we're introduced to our first character, Granny, outside of her home right after. Madeline and Granny enter a conversation where she basically tells Madeline that she may not even be prepared to climb this mountain, as physical skill isn't all she's going to need going up the mountain. Madeline doesn't listen to her, thinks she's just some old woman probably hopped up on Xanax and out of her mind. We're then introduced to Madeline's most important gameplay mechanic, the dash. The player can only dash in 8 directions, and only once until they touch the ground again. This mechanic is both the player's savior and the player's enemy, as a dash done too early or too late can easily result in death. We then move on to the first level of the game, the Forsaken City, which is totally not a reference to Destiny 2, a seemingly abandoned construction site for a large city on the side of the mountain. Now, the Forsaken City, even though it's the opening level of the game, is probably one of my favorite areas of this whole game. And the simplest answer to why it's my favorite is the word I just said 12 words ago. See, I'm what is called a masochistic gamer. I'm the guy that decided to do a no-death run in Dark Souls 2 so I could get this really fucking stupid ring that makes my weapon invisible. Oh boy. But even sometimes, people like myself, who play Doom Eternal's Ultra Nightmare difficulty for fun, need calmness in games. And while I know that Celeste is a difficult platformer and definitely the challenges to come will make me want to rip my ears off and throw them into the fiery pits of hell, this level is exactly the calm before the storm that I like in games. Barely any hazards are in this level, and the only that are